Hello, everyone. This is Ellie McMay. So here I am, finally live. You can hear my voice. You can see my screen where I have the upcoming Mother's Day astrology chart right here, May 11th. And I pulled the transits for May 9th, about 2 days before. I wanted to talk to you guys about Mother's Day. And especially because of the theme that's been coming up for me and a few of my clients in the past few weeks. But first of all, thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. If you like the content, you've liked the shorts and the little itty bitty stuff that I've put on the channel so far, I'd appreciate a like, a subscribe. It does help the algorithm if the video resonates with you. What I'm about to talk about today, more people will get to see it and learn. I won't get into the kind of negative news of the week and happen in a major university in Florida, but I will focus mostly. By the way, I do use astrology in my practice, not because I predict, but it just gives me a clear sense, confirms like thematic topics that come up during my one-on-ones. And intuitively also, like, just I feel it's important for me to look at it just to confirm, make sure that, like, okay, it's in alignment. I don't think astrology dictates our lives. I mean, I don't do horoscopes. I don't do but I can discover ways to work with the energy of the planetary bodies, with the heavenly bodies. And since everything is connected, we do have all these energies within us. I look at it more from a psychological point of view and a behavioral point of view, because I'm doing a collective video for Mother's Day, because my clients are mostly professional women, except they're not just professional women. They also identify as mothers and wives, and insert like they're very multifaceted. And I have heard repeatedly, I mean, really a lot, that their kids are on the mind a lot. So I decided to come home and create this video really off the cuff, because I think it's important. So this is the chart for Mother's Day. Let me go ahead and just take the transit for now, right here. So for anyone that is some kind of mother, birth mother, adoptive mother, you are guardian, you just perform the role of nurturing and molding another human being. So the sun will be in Taurus. Obviously, we're going to be in the sun. I'm going to leave this up here so you guys can see like what the symbols. So the sun is in Taurus. And this is Uranus right here. Uranus is the kind of planet that changes, which is like a lot of women are scared. They don't have control. Like, what if something happens? Creating like worst case scenarios in their head. And I can see why these worst case scenarios are coming in their head, because of this little guy over here. See, this is Vulcan. I'm gonna click on it. Let me see if I'm able to click on this. Well, so Vulcan usually, like, it does bring kind of like a discord or like a kind of like uneasy feeling to the energy. So it is like pretty much conjunct with the sun and Uranus, right? Does it mean something bad is going to happen? No, it does not. But because the first house is the house of how we perceive, I think because of like sometimes we're kind of programmed to watch news and like relate it to our own particular lives, that can create those kinds of thoughts. At the same time, we have the moon right here in the sixth house. And it's in Virgo. So most women who they're pretty clear on what they want, like their matriarchal role, like the monarch role, right? Like Lilith here with goddess of creation as well, with Vesta. You can Google all the meanings of these centaurs and asteroids, like in the sixth house, which is also the house of like well-being, health, master and server. It's kind of like a wake-up call, like, okay, where am I really depleting or leaking energy into this role where I feel like I may not have an identity, an essence aside from mother. So the question would be like, who am I if I'm not constantly mothering my children? And perhaps that's like where is allowing us to ask that question. Or at least it has, guiding me to ask the questions of my clients. So who are you without this constant need to mother your children? So I want to say that there's a lot of stuff going on. I'm not going to go into the astrology of it all. But no, see this guy up here? This is the divine interceptor. This is Venus. They're conjunct as well in Aquarius. We have Pluto in Aquarius, and they're in the midheaven. Because of the aspect of how is having, let me show it to you guys here. See, these two right here, with these people right here, it's more like a vertex. I could say, like, this is like what we call a right with Vesta. I kind of like would take all this into consideration because they're in the same house, even though Vesta is in Libra, with Libra is the sign of relationships, and we're talking about Mother's Day. So take a look at, like, how do you envision your life? What's the relationship with yourself without your children? Especially as a lot of them are graduating this year. Some of you may become empty nest soon. It's time to get clear on exactly what you want, because what you want, it's achievable now. You're going to have free time. You're not going to stop being a mother. In fact, because of the North Node Pisces here, the lessons we need to learn, pretty close to Nessus, which like a really, really good job of removing things that are like not good for us. Ceres, the end of a season in Pisces. See, all these are in Pisces. Saturn, Ceres, North Node. There's no way to go wrong. Your intuition, especially because Pisces rules the 11th house. of friendships, fulfilled dreams, it's, and because of its relationship, like there's all these planets right here, and the way that it's speaking to this guy right here, Jupiter. This is like everything that you give power to will expand. It'll become increasingly apparent to all of you. And some stuff, some seasons, some cycles are over in our lives. And I speak for myself as well. I'm a mother. My daughter's not ready to go to college yet, but there is change. Change happens, right? Lives. And pretty soon, Jupiter, the magnifier, is going to move into the sign of Cancer. And Cancer is also the sign of the monarch, of health, well-being, master and server, like, in the external world, right? So like once this guy moves during June, what can you, because it's in Gemini, write a letter to yourself, like speak out loud, envision dreams that you couldn't accomplish or were put on hold or in the back burner, aside from the career, but because it is time consuming to children. They demand our time, they demand our energy, like a bunch of our resources. So can you recall something that you wish you would have done, and then children came, and then like, okay, my children are my priority right now? They don't stop being priority. They're just not demanding of your time or asking, or like you're just not consumed by serving as much. Now I'm going to bring that transit again to you guys. Let me share the one with the transit. Okay, so here you go. So on May 9th is going to be our transit. So it'll go through May 11th. So transits are how, like, from our perspective, as the Earth moves, how we see planetary movement. We're going to have Pluto, which has been in Aquarius now, conjunct, and Pallas conjunct. All these guys conjunct, right? Because again, I pulled it collectively, but it really, like, speaks loads to like how you see this little guy right here, Chiron, wounded healer in mythology, and it's in Aries, the sign of the self, the singular, the I am. And it is also in the house, in the 11th house of wishes fulfilled. I think it is really wise, and it's opposite the transiting moon. I mean, loosely opposite, of it, but it is, like it's by what, like 7 degrees. No, it's pretty opposite. There's an opposition there. So don't focus on what you're not. Focus on the things like speak to yourself that way, even. Like create affirmations and mantras that will empower you and benefit you to get through this process because of this Jupiter in Gemini. Because once it goes to Cancer, like it's almost like the embodiment of the words that you speak now kind of like come true. You know, and your self-worth is not, this is a house of self-worth, are not just, they are not tied to anything outside of you. So I wanted to bring this quick video to you guys just because I think it's important. So I wanted to look at the major like energies, like, so Taurus is ruled by Venus. Let's see where Venus is. So Venus right here. It is in Aries as well. Speak with yourself to yourself with love. Relish on that freedom because, you know, Venus in the 11th house in Aries. Like, know that there's a lot more that you can do and learn. And these two together, Venus and Neptune, they require a lot of freedom. So I would definitely like take advantage of this. And there's part of like this guy, Pluto, for example, like it wants to show you, I'm sure you've gotten glimpses of a life without them. They'll make it doom and gloom. You know, there is power in having a new vision and starting anew. You know, like trust your intuition. With the North Node in Pisces, like the North Node requires us all collectively to like lean into the energy of that sign. And it just happens that in May, on May 11th, Pisces is gonna, you know, it's right here in the 11th house, a little bit of the 10th and 11th house. So part of your career, like house, and then like, you know, of the wishes and dreams, friendships, like leaning Piscean energy. Know what's not serving you anymore. Act with integrity and authenticity so that you can bring all these other guys right here, which are behind the sun, so they may be blind spots. So it probably, it'll require a little bit of effort to go to work for you. Now you depend on their conversation. So don't be like another scavenger of like those like horoscope scavengers, universal scavengers. Like just harness the energy of these. I mean, I can go on and on and on and talk about all this like for a long time, but just the subject of motherhood, and children, and honoring who we are as multifaceted human beings, women beings, and like there's so much more. There's like really, there's no limit, regardless of how old you are, what you do, you know, if you, the relationship you have with your children, like if you've done your best, in your mind, you've done your best with no intention to cause any ill, it's going to be okay, you know? And even if the kids don't perceive it that way, that's fine. Like, you know, just rest easy. They're not going to lose you. Now, with Mars and Leo, you know, right now, like it's a lot of fire energy. And like, you know, Mars rules Aries, the sun rules. So like it's a lot of like, I would, because it is in the third house of consciousness, and because of its opposition to Pluto, which creates tension, these two planets also rule Scorpio, which is in the fourth house, the house of like of our own first house, like, you know, like the house of our parents and family, first family. And So for your kids, that's their home, right? This is what rules their home. But notice how the south node, which are things that we're being asked to like let go of this in order to achieve the lessons that this guy has to do. See, like the horseshoe upside down, that's the south node in Scorpio. And even though it's in the fifth house, and the fifth house does represent children, among other things, and it's in Scorpio, it's like cutting ties in a deep way and allowing them to like form their own identity. By us trusting our intuitions, by proxy and example, we give them permission and freedom to trust theirs. And I think it's a great time to just harvest the energy of friendship with our children and of guidance, and not just do as I say, not as I do. And, I'm the puppet master, you're just a puppeteer type of thing. That won't serve anybody. I'm going to be very honest. I want to say something else about me. Let me see if there's anything. Yeah, so because of like the relationship, for example, I'll let you know here. So the relationship of this guy, Saturn, Pluto, and Mars, right? It's what we call like a loose, like T-square. So to loosen the tension of like this T-square, like, which is like a tension aspect, it's mostly Libra energy. I mean, there is here Virgo, which is Earth, but it is concocting like, okay, where have I neglected myself? And where can I put it into action, day-to-day action, with minutia detail? That's why I suggested like write it down, especially because this is this arrow right here. This is Sagittarius. It's ruling the 8th house. And then Capricorn follows right after. See the green. So follows in Capricorn. Follows does remove anything that's not toxic. And it's almost like, it's not that you don't have an option. Of course, you always have free will. But this energy really helps us like get clear and helps us ask ourselves the deep, hard questions about ourselves. Because the 8th house is the house of death and rebirth. It's the house of transformation. I mean, and then the ruler of this house, which is Pluto, well, the ruler of this house will be Jupiter because it's ruled by Sagittarius. But normally, Scorpio will be here in the 8th house. Pluto and Mars will be the rulers of the 8th house. But Pluto, the big transformer, is in an of higher consciousness, long distance travel, higher learning. So there's so much room for growth and expansion. And, but to allow that growth and new things, and some things have to leave. And that makes kind of sense, right? I mean, like, you can't fill a cup that's already full. So, like, what doesn't serve us anymore? In a real concrete way, because of Capricorn, like it closes in Capricorn right here, and it's 9th house. Even though Pluto's in Aquarius, like the cusp begins at Capricorn. In a very industrialist way, what pen to paper, what is not serving? And I've just been ignoring, I'm just been dealing with it because it's become my MO. So I invite you to watch this. If it resonates, great. If it doesn't, but a thumbs up would be super helpful. Subscribing, hitting the bell. I will probably be doing a lot more of these and not probably, for sure, but more consistently. And if you have any questions, drop them in the comments. You know, I'd love to hear what you guys think. What would you like me to expand on? And to all you mothers, all you professionals who are mothers in hats, go off to you guys. And to all you guys, and any mother, okay? Because mother is a hard job as it is. It's hard work. I take my hat off to you guys. I am so honored to work with women and to empower them to find their voice, to listen to their inner voice and to honor it, and teach them how to communicate their needs and desires without compromising their self-sovereignty, with clarity, with love, pretty much. And if you are one of those mothers that need help in a relationship with your children, whether you feel guilty about working too much and haven't spent that much time with your children, and now, you know, time flew by and here they are about to graduate, and oh my gosh, you know, where did time go? You know, you can book a session with me. I'll be glad to have a conversation, and we can just go through that journey together. I don't only use astrology. I do use other methodologies. I do help you find your style of communication through 12 archetypes that I have created. And there should be a quiz pretty soon on my website, a free quiz that you can find out, which you can range between 1 to 3 archetypes, and it helps you find out whether you're in the light or shadow of those archetypes in the style of communication. Because my goal is to remind everyone that their voice is their spell, and their voice doesn't necessarily mean they have to speak out loud, but even their inner dialogue. And just watching the transformations and watching all these clients that I've had the privilege to work with come back to themselves has been an absolute honor. I mean, truly, it's been what a privilege. And I'll love to extend the offer to you guys. If you find yourself that, especially for mothers, let's make it about mothers right now. If you feel like, you know, you need some clarity on how to navigate onto this new chapter of your life, I am happy to adjust your sails with you. And all you have to do is go to the link above, and it should be in the description box as well. So my website, you can book a free call with me, and pretty soon I'll have that quiz up. You do get 1 archetype answer for free. And if you decide to work with me, I do reveal to you what the other archetypes that are matched with you say, and whether or not you're working with them in the shadow or light. So thanks again. I look forward to sharing more of these videos. This was kind of very like impulsive, I'm gonna be honest. Not scripted, not at all planned. It just was like a bolt of lightning insight, like, you know, I need to speak about this. And so here I am, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys the next time. Bye for now.